Привет! Welcome back to another Tip Thursday with me, Connor Klein. And yes, there are scammer girls looking out for you on the watch everywhere in this region, whether it happens to be here in Odessa Mama or even in Russia in Rostov Papa. You need to be careful. In this video, I'm going to be diving into the biggest scams that involve usually something romantic, or that's the presumption here in countries like Russia, Ukraine, and even sometimes in more honest Belarus. So let's dive into today's video. Поехали! So these next three scams are kind of on a continuum, right? Going upwards in terms of value, what they're trying to extort out of you. So I'm going to call the first one of these three that are kind of related as the meal plan scam. Listen, if you are a pretty girl in Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, and you go onto something like Tinder, and you go swipe, 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 right? On everybody, you are going to be inundated with guys offering to take you out to restaurants at the very, very least. And that means basically if you're disingenuous and a little bit unscrupulous as a girl here in this region, you can basically just live off these guys and go eat out in restaurants 3 times a day without having to spend a penny, because guys pay the bill. They pick up the bill in Ukraine by culture, and most foreign guys who come here, they of course, like you, just adapt to that, and they pay the bill if they invite the girl out. So it is super easy for them to do this. I actually had an incident before where one of my friends came with me to a restaurant where I just met 2 guys randomly at the time. Actually, one of them became a very good friend, one is still I'm in contact with, and they had all been out with the same girl from Tinder. In fact, one of them had gone out immediately after she had had dinner with the first guy. So basically, during the summer in particular, it seemed, this happened to be in the summer in Kiev, seems to be a pretty good strategy for girls just to go out to eat at nice places, and of course take lots of Instagram photos and show off their friends all the places that they're going to, but they are not there for you. That's the key thing. Now this is a pretty minor one, of course, in terms of cost, because it's like the price of a meal, and that's not going to be obviously very expensive here in this region, what happens to be Ukraine, Belarus, or Russia, maybe in Moscow, especially if you go to a, just a normal place, nothing super, super extravagant, but it is a waste of your time. And that's the biggest issue with this. Bringing a girl to a restaurant is not going to impress her in any case, it's just to get to know her. So definitely don't do something that you don't feel comfortable with. And at the end of the day, if it turns out to be a meal, it's not the end of the world, but definitely be aware that there are girls who take advantage of that, and they just want to eat out for free off guys disingenuously. So that is the first one, so definitely don't accept that at all. But that's the lightest of the 3 that we're about to jump into. So the second one is the swimsuit scam. I call it more specifically about swimsuits because it seems to be one that they use quite a bit, especially in Ukraine, but it's basically a shopping scam. I had one consulting client, and they told me that the girl that they had met online on Tinder had suggested they go to the spa together. Now the spa is a great place to hang out with someone to get to know them, wearing very much clothing. It's kind of, all that heat in the sauna. It should be fun, but it's a bit odd for a girl to suggest this if she's never met you before. So I was like, red flag. And of course, what happened? She didn't have a swimsuit. She needed a swimsuit to go to the spa. So she tried to persuade him to buy I think it was like a 500 euro swimsuit for her. Now, there are 2 things going on there. One, she might just want a 500 euro swimsuit. She's obviously not returning that after the day at the spa. The other thing is she may just have a deal with the shop that sells them, and then after she just goes back, hands it over, and they do something with the tags and they resell it again, and she gets her cut of the cash. Maybe she already has plenty of swimsuits for having done this over a summer. That goes for any sort of shopping scam. It can also be just that they just suddenly suggest to go to the mall. It happened to a friend of mine before, actually 2 friends actually in Belarus, and all of a sudden they're in and they're picking out stuff, and they're kind of suggesting that you pay as a gift. This is a girl you just met and just went on one maybe coffee or dinner date with. Of course, never buy them stuff like this. They see your big fat Western wallet and they want to take advantage of them, buy themselves a gift. Now, the third scam in this increasing cost to you if you're unfortunate enough to get caught up in it is the restaurant nightclub scam, and that's different to the 3 meal a day scam in this sense that they actually have an agreement with the restaurant, and the idea is not just to get a free meal, it's actually to rack up an enormous bill and then receive a kickback from the restaurant. So this is fraud. You will be brought to a place where they have a deal with the restaurant. They will order lots of stuff maybe, and then the price will be astronomical for this region. It will be New York, London, Paris prices. There are other places, of course, have a menu in English and a menu in Russian. That's another way with different prices. So again, if you don't speak Russian, just basically the way to avoid this is always be leading to a restaurant, and it's very likely that they have an agreement with the restaurant that you pick. It can also be with nightclubs. I talked about in an earlier video here on my channel about some German guys I met during the summer, and one of them got caught out. He was brought to a nightclub in Arcadia. This is kind of a very touristic part of Odessa, and he met 2 girls. He'd actually met them online on Tinder. Showed up with her friend, and they said, let's go to this club. Of course, sat down at the table, ordered lots of stuff. 20-30 minutes later, oh, we have to go, nice to meet you, bye-bye. Bill comes, and it was 1,000 euros. So that's about 1,100 US dollars, and they'd ordered a bottle of stuff and some food. So what can he do? 2 big bouncers tell him you have to pay up, this is the bill, and he paid the bill, and that's it. They were obviously getting a kickback from the club. So there are the 3, like 2, 3, 4 in the scams here that I'm going into, and increasing in terms of how much they are going to cost you. So you've been warned. So another way that dishonest and disingenuous local girls in this region make money, that they milk foreign guys when they come here, for example, to Odessa, is with variations on a transport scam. So how does this work? Well, basically, say, like one of my clients, you've met a girl online and you've been talking to her a bit before you arrive, and then you want to meet up with her, and she says, I don't actually live in Minsk, in the example with my client. I live in a provincial small town, village, not so far from the city, but I need a taxi in order to come into the city. And that taxi will cost nearly something like 100 euros. It's 100% certain if she's coming to meet you to get her 100 euros, she's taking the bus. So that's the first thing, is like these inflated prices. And if she's really interested in seeing you genuinely, she's not going to demand a 100 euro taxi to come in. She's going to be in Minsk to see you and pay for the bus probably herself. It's going to cost maybe a couple of euros. And they rely on the price differential, say, between where you're from in North America, Western Europe, where it's a lot more expensive, versus here in Eastern Europe, where the prices are obviously normally about a quarter, we'll say, in general, and on top of the fact they're never taking that mode of transport in the first place. So not a good example I've heard from plenty of guys, especially in Kiev, is that they arrange a date normally over Tinder, because that's where they meet these girls, and they come in and say, yes, but I need to have my taxi paid. Inevitably, the taxi is like over 30 euros. They said there's no taxi that costs 30 euros in Kiev, no matter where you're going. Even if you go out to the airport, it's going to be a third of that. So you should know straight away that this girl is a scammer, and shouldn't be going anywhere with any girl who demands that you pay an inflated price for transport to come and meet you. Now, of course, the way to control this is just to say, oh, that's great, you're going to come by taxi. I will order you an Uber. What is your address? Send it to me. And then it will come and pick you up, and I screenshot and send you the taxi driver with the number plate and the phone number. And probably most of these girls are going to refuse because they actually want to make the money. You are going to be really sincere and probably just think, yeah, a taxi costs 30 euros in Kiev, but not the case, my friend.
There's a little story I want to tell as well, put out there. So me personally, I met actually on Tinder 2 scammers. Before I met them, I was feeling that there's something wrong. I felt some red flags, definitely. The thing is that the girl starts very aggressively to write you. Where are you, who are you, where are you from? I mean, that's normal, but when they say too much, you understand that something is up, right? Anyways, let's see what happens. That's my philosophy always. Be open and let's see what happens. So I said, okay, let's meet. And we met, and she come with her friend. and the friend was pretty good, pretty hot. And herself was Irish looking in relatively to Russian people and women in general, but in comparison to Western Europe, she was also good.
Why did they come two together? If she's on a date with you, what did you say?
Yeah, I said the same. No, they happen to be together, so there's another red flag. So 2 red flags by within 10 minutes. So be vigilant. Anyways, I was like, yeah, do you smoke shisha? That's the first. I personally don't smoke, nothing. But I said, okay, we can go to this so-called shisha lounge. They insisted they knew some crazy place in some crazy valley, backyard, whatever. And we went there. It took 5-10 minutes to walk. We actually sat down, enjoy, start talking, and then of course they brought the car with the drinks and with the bottles or whatever, and they wanted wine. I personally prefer vodka, but the girls wanted wine. I said, let's see. And then I see the prices of the wine. That's the third red flag. So when you see a bottle of wine costing the same as a bottle of vodka, you know something is not normal. Nevertheless, it was a party day. I wanted to drink. So I said, okay. I knew already what was going on, or I was pretty sure, 90% at that point. But anyway, I said, I wanted to drink. So I took control of the situation. I said, I ordered 1 bottle to the waitress. I want this wine. It was like 110 euro for that bottle of wine. A bit overpriced in that area of St. Petersburg, I would say. Maybe if it was in a nice club and other things, okay, that could be. But in that area, no, it was overpriced for sure. Nevertheless, the bottle comes, we start drinking very aggressively. They start putting up the glasses with, like, try to empty the bottle very fast. I said, relax, enjoy one glass. We are not in a hurry. Again, you have to take control, do whatever you want. Buy whatever you want, but you have to be controlling the situation always. If you are not, you will lose and you will end up paying a lot of money for nothing. Anyway, so the bottle was almost empty, and let's order another one. I said, girls, relax. So one of the girls, she said to the waitress in Russian, and I don't speak Russian, but I understand what's going on, in Russian. And I said, wait a second, what did she say? She wanted to order this and this. I said, let her order whatever she wants, but on her bill. I only pay for this bottle, and that's it. I will pay for what I order. So in the end, of course, she did not order anything. Long story short, they got irritated because I did not want to spend more bottles and more money on bottles. It did not end in nothing in the end. And I was like, okay, so just leave. And then my friends just came and we enjoyed the rest of that bottle. And that's it, basically. And it was totally fine. I started getting tipsy and getting in the mood, and we went clubbing afterwards. But the point of the story, be vigilant. Don't be delusional. Don't be intimidated because 2 hot girls come. And don't behave like you never seen hot girls in your life, right? So they should actually be happy to spend time with you and not the opposite. So don't be too needy and just be calm and behave like locals, and you will do all right, right? And always be in charge of the situation, and nothing will happen.
So the final scam that I want you to be very aware of involves romance and women here in Eastern Europe is one that affects this city, Scam Central, Odessa, Malmö. And basically, it runs an entire gauntlet, as I've gone into in other videos on this channel, from just girls trying to waste a little bit of your time and maybe the price of a meal, which is not really that significant, all the way up to, of course, you've been lured somewhere on the edge of this city, and then basically it's an empty club and there's a huge bill, like maybe over $1,000 or something. That's what I've heard, about €1,000. And big bouncers there blocking your path until you pay the bill. So want you to definitely avoid that now. Also, some other scams that happen with like online dating are, of course, disingenuous marriage agencies or dating sites where you pay for communication. That means like to write messages or receive emails or maybe even to video chat with girls. Any sort of online service that makes you pay for communication, that's a huge red flag for me. In general, those are not genuine agencies because you got to think of the incentives there, right? For both the agency and for the girls who are on those sites. It's basically like the longer they keep you on there talking or communicating, the more money is being generated. That's a very bad incentive for you to actually meet someone that you're going to spend time with. And also, if you're communicating, you're not seeing the person's face at all. Like when I talk to them on video chat, then you don't really know who you're talking to. It could be Igor sitting in Siberia, not Nastya here in Odessa, Mama. So definitely be very careful of that, and never send money online to anyone that you've never met in person, no matter what sub story they give you about their grandma being in a hospital, or they need to go learn English in order to talk to you. So be careful, be warned. I've given you a lot of tips here. They're everywhere, they're looking for you, but at the same time, there are great women that you can meet and date and even marry, like some of my clients have in the last year in countries like Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus. So don't be put off completely. You do need to be very careful and not be naive. So if you are keen to avoid the scammer girls of Ukraine, Russia, and occasionally Belarus, and you really want to meet the good girls, I have another video about that I'm going to link up in a card above and down below in the description. Then what are you doing next weekend? Because it could be you living the Zara experience. I have an application below, also in the description below this video. But the Zara experience is not for everybody. I only want to work with high-level clients who are interested in developing themselves. They're not looking for some sort of quick fix like a marriage agency or a matchmaking service directly, which just presents them to a lot of women, irrelevant about how they look or how they want to develop themselves and learn about traveling the region, this region, and of course how to meet and date beautiful women here. That's the kind of client I'm looking for, one who wants to invest in themselves, both in terms of time and in terms of money, to actually maximize their own potential here. So if you are looking for a quick fix, like you're just a little bit unrealistic, you think that you can just fly in from, say, the US to a city like Odessa, and that there's going to be all these beautiful Instagram models 20 years of age waiting for, and even not 20 years of age, but just women who are maybe 5 levels higher than you are, what you can find in your hometown, because you're not very charismatic and don't project yourself very well, then that's who the scammers target. That's what I've been trying to warn you about in this video. So, forewarned is forearmed. Now you know that's not realistic, and you're probably going to be scammed, unfortunately, if you were to do that. But if you are the kind of person, of course, who is looking to, just have an absolutely unforgettable experience here in West Europe, and you are realistic and you are interested in developing yourself and pushing yourself to higher level, then definitely go and fill out an application form. If, on the other hand, maybe you've been talking to women online, maybe from Odessa in Ukraine, and you're not sure about them, I do help clients with also vetting through my online consulting. So you can definitely go and just write me a message and explain your situation, and then if it's a good fit for me to help you, I will do that. We'll do that on a consultancy basis. So basically, we'll be able to do everything either over WhatsApp or over Skype, and I can help you. Obviously, it's a paid service, but that's also a paid premium service that I offer to clients who just want to have women vetted, or just want more information about what it's like to travel here and don't actually want to live the Zara experience, but they do appreciate the fact that I can give them great value and save them a lot of time, a lot of money, actually, as it turns out, especially if they have been the target of scammers. You can do that by writing to me by email, connorklein@zaraexperience.com, or reaching out to me on Instagram. My handle there is Zara Experience. And definitely, if you're not interested in either, go check out the Instagram. There's a lot of great additional content that I produce there just in my stories. I don't focus very heavily at the moment on Instagram, but I do give you a little bit of a window into what my life is like just traveling around here in cities like Odessa or Minsk or St. Petersburg, Moscow. It's going to be very soon, because I'm going to be going a lot to Russia in 2020. Very excited about that. Going to be vlogging from Kaliningrad, St. Petersburg, and let's see where else in Russia. Maybe a big special surprise. I may be going skiing, just working on organizing that right now in Siberia. So a lot of great content coming up. Have a great festive season. Happy holidays, whether you happen to be celebrating Christian Christmas or maybe Hanukkah or maybe some other religious festival over the next month. Do svidaniya, do pobачення. See you in the very next video.
Zara Experience.